Welcome NEC fans, and thank you for joining us as we recognize our international student athletes and celebrate the diversity of cultures within our conference. My name is Adrian Barajas, and I'm a communications assistant at the NEC. Today, we are pleased to be joined by Oscar and Dominyka from Fairleigh Dickinson University and Faisal from Merrimack. Thanks for joining us, guys. Let's start by introducing ourselves and sharing where you are from. Oscar, can you start, please?
My name is Oscar Berry. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I'm a freshman on the men's basketball team at Fairleigh Dickinson.
My name is Faisal Bajunaid. I'm from Saudi Arabia. I'm a sophomore on the Merrimack men's soccer team.
Hi, my name is Dominyka Leskauskaite. I'm from Lithuania, and I'm a senior on the women's track and field team here at FDU.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. And Dominyka, I'm gonna stay on you for a second. So, something special or unique about your country. You mentioned something very specific about your language, and I would love for you to elaborate on that for us.
It's one of the oldest languages in the world. I'd say it's very rare. There's only less than 3 million people speaking Lithuanian language. So I think we're pretty unique. And people always wonder, like, whenever they hear me speaking my native language here, you're always like wondering, like, what is this language? Because nobody has a clue, you know.
That's awesome. Faisal, do you have anything to add on about where you come from and what your language is like?
Well, my native tongue is Arabic, of course. The unique thing about Arabic is so many different countries speak the same language, but each kind of different country speaks a bit differently. So someone from UAE will speak it completely different to how I speak it. So meeting people here who may have grown up here but are originally from, let's say, Lebanon or something like that, it's really interesting to kind of learn more about my language just spoken a different way.
Oscar, so you're a men's basketball player from Australia, but Australian football is your national sport. Can you kind of explain how the Australian football is different from like American football?
Yeah, absolutely. So Australian football is only played in Australia. It's a very unique sport. It's very hard to explain to someone who's never seen it before. Probably the sport it's most similar to is rugby, but you play on almost 300-yard oval. So conditioning, and to pass the ball, you have to punt it to each other.
Oh, wow.
So it's extremely unique, and it's only played in Australia. So
in Australia, when you go, like, say, to the field or to the park, is this a common like pickup game? Are people there to play, or is it only organized by leagues and teams?
So because the field is so big, each team gets 18 players. So it's very hard to get a pickup game of that going. So if you were to go to the park, usually you would just have a kick of the footy. So just kick the ball back to each other. But yeah, it's very hard to have a pickup game. But
wow, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. All right, Faisal, I'm gonna jump back to you, and let's talk about that weather. You come from 90 to 100-degree weather. Can you tell us what that like is in New Jersey, where we get to experience all 4 seasons and almost the extreme opposite with freezing temperatures?
Yeah, so I mean, before I came here, I was warned about the New England weather, and I was told how the day-to-day will be different, and it'll be 70 one day and the next day it'll be snowing. And for me, it's crazy. I mean, the first time I ever saw snow was when I came here a year ago. But back home, it's warm year round. So when I'm here for preseason in August, all my teammates will be complaining about the heat, and I'll be buzzing. I'll be so happy about it. But yeah, I'm still getting used to it, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not used to training on the field with some layers.
Oh no, I feel yeah, no, I feel heavy. It's not great, but you get used to it.
How about the climate in Lithuania, Dominyka? What's that like? Can you share for us?
I would say it's very, very similar to the weather in Jersey. We have all 4 seasons. I think it gets warmer here earlier than there, but it's actually very similar. Like, whenever it's windy here, it's always windy back home too. You know, like it's raining here, it's raining back there too. So it's pretty much the same.
And in your response, Dominyka, you mentioned a lot of what you miss about home is the scenery. Can you please explain some of the colors, some of the things you might see back at home where you're from?
So the color you're only gonna see is green. Like, all we have is woods and forests and like fields, and it's beautiful. Like, it's blue sky, and then everything underneath it is green. Like it's beautiful. Whenever you're flying above the country, you can already tell you're back home because there's such a big difference. So we have a lot of nature. We have a lot of nature and a lot of forests, a lot of lakes. That's what we're known for.
That's awesome. I think you convinced me. I'm going to have to add Lithuania to my travel list.
Oh, yes, please do. And let me know.
And Oscar, can you explain what it's like in Australia? What kind of scenery is it like back at home for you?
Yeah, so Australia is a huge country, and a lot of it is uninhabited. In the middle of the country, we have a large desert, but then once you get to the coastline of the country, we have rainforests and some of the best beaches in the world. So you're going to find a very diverse range of scenery in Australia wherever you go.
And can you share some wildlife that we'll see in Australia but not in New Jersey, where you're staying?
Well, if I list them all, then we're gonna go for 20 minutes. But that's what I get asked mostly here in the US. Whenever someone hears I'm from Australia, they always go, "Oh, have you seen a kangaroo?" Yeah, so yeah, obviously I have, but
right.
Yeah, there's just a whole list of different wildlife you have to get used to.
Awesome.
And it's funny because now I'm in New Jersey. We don't have raccoons in Australia, so when I see one of those, I get excited, and everyone's wondering why I'm excited.
Are you guys all like nature people? Do you guys animals and pet people, or not so much?
I think it's like the US where everyone has their own opinion.
Right.
But I think it's cool in Australia we're taught a little bit differently how to respect the animals and how to act when you encounter animals.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And Faisal, what's it like for you back at home? What can we see ourselves seeing in the background?
So I'm from a really big city. I grew up in one of the biggest cities, and what's special about my city is you can drive 30 minutes one way and you'll be at the Red Sea, and you can drive 30 minutes the other way and you'll be at a desert if you want to go camping. So usually it just depends on what time of year it is. If it's a bit on the cooler side, then we'll go camping in the desert. Duning is really big there. If it's in the summertime, we'll go to the beach, spend some days on the beach there. So it just kind of depends, but get a little bit of everything. So it's great. Can't complain.
Nice. It's always good, a little bit of the best of both worlds, you know?
Yeah.
And then Faisal, I'm going to ask you another question. You mentioned that there was some, some emotional challenges in coming from like a very close knit and collective family to, coming long distance. Can you explain what the communication is like with your friends and family back home? What kind of ways do you guys communicate and stay in touch?
So we all do our best to kind of stay updated on each other's lives, but I mean, it's a big time difference. It goes from 7 hours in the summertime and springtime, and then in the winter it's about 8 hours. So usually if I have a morning lift, the positive thing about it is I get to call my family after. But I mean, you find the time to keep up with everyone, but it's difficult. It takes me about 24 hours to get home every time, so wow. It makes you think. But at the end of the day, I know I'm here for a good opportunity. My family know that, my friends know that, so they're all very supportive. So
that's
I have
awesome.
to thank for that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And Dominyka, what's it like for you communicating back home with your friends and family?
It's very actually similar. The time difference is also 7 hours, and it also takes me 21, 27 hours to get back home, depending on like where I'm flying out from. But my parents stay up for me if they have to, because I don't like talking to people in the morning, so I have to call them in the afternoon. So I usually talk to them when it's like 10 or 11 p.m. there. But we talk every day. Like I still talk to all my friends back home. I call my parents every other day. It has never been an issue. So.
Awesome. That's great and very important to remain that line of communication. Make sure it's nice and contact with your friends and family while you're away. And Oscar, Australia, that's quite a long ways as well. What's the communication like for you with your friends and family back home?
Yeah, so we have probably one of the biggest time changes. So it's depending on daylight savings, it's anywhere from 16 to 18 hours different. But I had an older brother who went to college before me, so he kind of set the standard for how often I need to get in contact with friends and family back home.
Nice. Awesome. And then I saved one of my favorite questions, so we'll go around. I want you guys to share like your favorite dishes from back home, whether it be home cooked or like local food, restaurant, whatever it is. I want you guys to just share some of your favorite dishes from back home that we may not be able to get here in America. So whoever wants to go first, just go ahead. I'd be like, oh, I'll go first and then share. So
Probably my favorite national dish is cold beet soup, because for all it's cold, so like you don't usually eat cold soup, and it's pink. It's like,
oh wow.
And you eat it with potatoes in any form. It can be fries, it can be baked potatoes, like anything. And it's just so refreshing. Some people only eat it in the summer when it's hot, but I eat it all year round. And I made it for my Jamaican and Haitian friends one time, and they absolutely loved it. So
that's awesome. And is this you said you made it for them, so I'm assuming this is something easy enough to gather at the grocery store and make in your dorm room or on campus?
No, I was actually staying at their house, so that's
okay.
But like basically what you need is buttermilk, pickles, beets, and dill. That's about it. So
Nice.
If you can find that, you got it.
Awesome. So cold beet soup.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Faisal, how about you?
For me, it's a bit of an interesting one because there's a tradition that comes with it. So in Arabic, we call it rizuadas. Translated is just it's rice and lentils, but it's made in a way I don't really know how it's made. I couldn't tell you, but the tradition is, so obviously it doesn't rain that much back home, but when it does, traditionally the next day you have this dish, and it's sentimental for me because growing up I used to see the rain and get so excited about it and go down to the kitchen the next day and I have the dish ready. So it's become one of my favorite dishes.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you. And Oscar?
So I would say a meat pie. So basically it's a puff pastry pie with it's almost like a gravy with meat on the inside.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it sounds a little interesting, but it's really good. And it pairs well with Australian football, like I was saying before. So you eat it at the game.
Okay,
it's a skill to eat it without making a mess.
That's something with a white polo on that's not a dish for me.
Absolutely.
And now I want to move on to some of the academic struggles or obstacles and experiences that you guys have come across, coming from, some of you coming from the English not being your first language, your native tongue, and then coming and studying in English. So go ahead, Oscar, I know you speak English, but you can go ahead and mention some of the obstacles, what it's like the education system in America versus Australia, if you'd like to start, and we'll go back around to Faisal and then Dominyka.
For the most part, I feel like the two systems are quite similar. The only thing I struggled with is obviously not knowing the American history as well as other students. For example, I had to take US government, and the teacher asked me one day, he's like wondering why I didn't know all this information. I just couldn't tell him.
Yeah, I'm sure history, there's so much history that goes on in each of our nations, and then growing up, you listen to your own country, and then you come to America, and you got to know their history too. It's got to be a tough obstacle, a lot of knowledge, a lot of reading, a lot of information to absorb and stuff. Awesome. And Faisal, how about you? Some obstacles?
It's actually funny Oscar mentioned history, because I actually have the same thing where I don't have a clue about American history. You have to take a history course here, so something I had to kind of educate myself on. Also, my general knowledge of America is horrible. Couldn't tell you the 50 states, just that kind of stuff. But I mean, English is my second language, but I'm lucky enough to say that I got a good enough education back home that I managed to get around, and I can still read and write well enough for me to get by. It's a bit different, the system, but I got enough time to get used to it. I've been here for a year now, so I'm managing.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And last but not least, Dominyka.
I wouldn't say I have like struggled with the language itself necessarily. Obviously, like I do forget words sometimes, but like people are really understanding, so they usually like help me out. But in terms of like academics, I remember my freshman year, my first semester, I took an English class, and we had to write essays, and I didn't know the structure of the essay here, because like back home it's completely different. So I remember my first grade was C, and I was like, how is that even possible? But I learned it. I got an A minus in the class later on, so that's good. But I remember my professor told me that we need to use MLA format, and I was like, MLA who? Like, I was like, what is that? And I was like, it's kind of weird that professors don't even like think of the fact that you maybe need to introduce new people to APA or MLA, like, because I might have been the only one who didn't know what it was, but still, like, you're my teacher, you have to teach me, so I had to ask my teammates for help. But
yeah, I'm sure like formatting and stuff that like a lot of times in these universities that can be like a whole letter grade, half letter grade down just for having the wrong format. So of course, like you said, it's really important that they, introduce that format to their student athletes or just to their students in general, coming from all over the globe. Awesome, thanks. And now I'm going to just open up the floor. You guys can just share any fun fact about yourself, where you're from, your family, anything you want to say. Open it up, about sports, academics, pets, whatever you guys want.
So not including Alaska, Australia is bigger than the United States by land size, but US have 13 times as many people.
Wow. So like you said, in the middle of your country, there's a lot of wildlife and preserved land, right?
Yeah, it's not even wildlife; it's just straight desert. So it's so hot that you can't even live there.
Right. So it's like borderline uninhabitable.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually crazy to think about. Just like those numbers, like the same size country, if not bigger, Australia. Yet, there's 3 times as many people in America. No, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go. So not sure how many people know about this, but so in my religion, Islam, we have this holy month, Ramadan, where we fast from like an hour before sun up, and then right before sundown you can eat, and it's no food, no water, nothing. And back home, kind of everyone's doing it, so the lifestyle kind of shifts in that way to accommodate for it. But doing it here, so today is actually the 5th day of 30 days. Doing it here has been difficult, but I mean, my teammates, my coaches, my friends have all been so supportive. It's been amazing. Coaches accommodated for it. The first day I went into the dining hall to break my fast, and my teammates were already there, ready for me. They had like 6 glasses of water. They've been great about it, but it's probably the most difficult part of being here, being away from my family.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure those training sessions are not easy without, snacking before or after or having some water. But
yeah, definitely.
It's awesome that you have the support around you, and that they're waiting for you they're waiting to feed you once you can break that fast, and supporting you while you're on that fast. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, they've been great about it.
Cool.
Just a quick little fun fact. We say that basketball is the second religion of Lithuania because it's so popular, and that's all we care about.
Cool.
We care about. Not me, because I love track, but yeah. It's really popular, and we have some good basketball players playing here in NBA.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Do you happen to know what teams?
The team that just won against the Lakers last weekend, Pelicans, Jonas. Yeah, big boy.
Awesome.
Look him up. There's a song written about him. Just type in his name on YouTube. It's
Will do. Awesome. And that is all the time we have for today. Thank you, NEC fans, for watching and recognizing our international student athletes and the diversity in our conference. See you next time.